What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Weekends with Yam. If you've seen these before, this is when I sit down and chat with you guys and just have a nice time on the weekend, just talking about bikes, and it's a little more low-key. Title of today's video is 10 things I wish I knew about riding motorcycles before I got into it. Now, I've been riding motorcycles for a pretty long time, and honestly, I wish that before I had started riding, someone had clued me in on a couple of these things, because honestly, a lot of them are not really well understood until you've been riding for a little bit of time. So sit back, relax, enjoy this video, and maybe I'll impart some knowledge onto you that you can take before you start riding. But before we begin, I have one simple request: no sponsorship, no promotions, nothing like that. I need you to smash the subscribe button. This is a big initiative for us this year. We're trying to get to 1 million subscribers, and as a treat for you guys, once we hit that 1 million subscriber number, I will turbo my Hayabusa. I already have the kit. It is being shipped over to me in a couple of days. It will get here. We'll make a video about it showing y'all the turbo kit. It is going to be awesome. I can't wait to have a 250 rear wheel horsepower Hayabusa to make a bunch of even better memes with. So don't let the memes be dreams. Hit subscribe down below and do it. I'm also giving this bike away. Don't miss out on that. Let's get into it. All right, I took some notes here because I'm not Rain Man. I can't remember all this stuff off the top of my head. So let's jump in. The first thing I wish I knew is just how fun it is. Honestly, nothing could prepare me for how fun it is just jumping on a motorcycle, twisting the throttle, and going. It still excites me to this day, all these years later after riding motorcycles. I still get excited about jumping on basically any motorcycle and just ripping the throttle and seeing what it can do. Most motorcycles, I'd say like 99.9% of them, are very fun to ride. They're very different than cars or other types of motorsports or anything like that, in that they all are about just kind of fun giggle factor. They're all pretty lightweight, they're very intuitive, they're very small, you get connected with the machine, and I just kind of wish someone had told me how stinking fun motorcycles are, because they are a ton of fun to ride. Especially as you develop skills and more confidence when you ride them. You can jump on any bike and try to get it to wheelie, do reroll skids. You can understand how they lean through corners and stuff. And then riding off-road is super fun too. The joy of riding motorcycles will probably never get old. So if you're about to get into motorcycles and you're worried that one day, you'll fall out of favor with it or you won't like it, that's probably not gonna happen. They are so fun to ride. Number 2 on today's list is there will be some aches and pains as you get used to riding. I actually had a guy on my Discord server just sent me this message the other day. He was like, "Hey Yammie, I just got my first bike today and I've noticed some pains and aches on my bike while I'm riding." And I hadn't thought about this in a long time, but as you develop your sense of riding a motorcycle, as your knees and arms and body gets used to being in the position of being on a motorcycle, your body needs to adapt and adjust to those sensations. So you're gonna build up new muscles in your knees and your quads, because riding a motorcycle, despite what some people might tell you, is surprisingly physical. If you want to ride on the balls of your feet and grip the tank with your legs and do so in an effective and good way of riding, it is a little bit physical, and you might have to get used to it a little bit over time. So I wish someone had told me when I started that riding a motorcycle would be a little bit physical. The third thing I want to tell you guys today is that butt pucker moments are pretty common, but the more time that passes, you'll probably just get used to them. I know that sounds a little crazy to think right now. It's pretty common to have, rear wheel slides, or maybe a weird butt pucker moment as you enter a corner, or maybe a car comes a little bit close to you. These things are surprisingly common when you're on 2 wheels, and as you develop more skill and more experience on the bike, you'll learn to adapt and to be pretty chill when you're on the motorcycle, and big stuff like that is not going to throw you off your guard. There was a video a while back where Shade Tree Surgeon put up a clip of a car just kind of cutting right in front of him and driving aggressively, and he was just like, "Whoa, that was weird," and he just kept going along his way, whereas a less experienced motorcyclist might have made a big deal out of it or gotten all out of sorts. So you'll notice that these kind of butt pucker moments, as I call them, are going to be pretty common on your motorcycle, but your ability to deal with them will get better over time. The fourth thing today that we're talking about is your first year of riding. You're gonna literally find every and any excuse to get on your motorcycle, and you'll probably log more miles on your first year than you ever will in your later years, but we'll talk about that in a little bit too. When I first got my motorcycle, I would ride it to work, I would commute with it, I would go to friends' houses with it, I would go grocery shopping with it. Anything I needed to do and anything beyond what I needed to do, I would jump on that bike and go have fun with it. It didn't matter what I was gonna go do. And often on the weekends, I just jump on it and go for a ride and just go out for the whole day and just see what it was like. And it really imbued this sense in me of just adventure and wanting to be outside and to do fun things. Motorcycles are definitely these sort of things that can allow you to experience a more full and rich life if you want to go out and take them out for a long ride or something like that, explore where you live, explore nature, all these kinds of things. They can definitely provide that for you. And I remember for me and my first motorcycle, you couldn't get me off that thing. You'll definitely notice that your first year of riding, you're probably going to put on more miles than any other year, like I said, mostly because with time, you're probably just going to ride less and the quality of your riding will probably improve as well. So you might do like a big week-long trip out somewhere in a big adventure ride and then maybe not ride for a week or two, or you might do a couple track days and that's really consistent, good quality riding. So that's gonna change over time, but you're definitely gonna put a lot of those miles in the first year. The next point on today's video, and I think this one's kind of funny, is people genuinely do not care that you ride a motorcycle. You guys need to understand that. When it comes to people who don't own a bike, you telling them about your bike, they could not care less. Let me put it to you this way. If someone came up to you and they were like, dude, I just got into pole dancing, or dude, I just got into owning a ball python. Let me tell you about this reptile. Let me tell you about this hobby. If you're not in it yourself, you probably don't care about listening to this person unless they're a close family member or friend of yours. But if you catch someone asking a lot of questions about your bike, or how much your gear cost, or what the licensing procedure was like, that person is probably very interested in riding a motorcycle themselves. The next point on today's video, and I think a lot of people have said this before, motorcycles are surprisingly expensive and you need to be prepared for that. Between tires, insurance, gas, registration, ongoing costs, modifications, I mean, the list just goes on and on. Whatever you're thinking a motorcycle is gonna cost, it is going to cost more than that. I guarantee it. Also, motorcycles do this weird thing where if you put them in the garage by themselves, they tend to multiply when you're not looking, and all of a sudden there's 3 motorcycles in your garage instead of just the one. So be careful with that. That can also be a little bit more expensive than you anticipated. The other point I want to make is that motorcycles have pretty limited ranges. You might not realize it, but a bike cannot usually go more than about 120, 140 miles to a tank unless you're talking about a big adventure or touring motorcycle. So you're gonna have to be prepared to fill up this thing pretty often. And obviously the gas tanks on motorcycles, which are right here, in case you didn't know, they are pretty small. Usually they're, 3 to 4 gallons on most sport bikes, maybe 4 to 5 on, touring or sport touring kind of motorcycles. You might see like a 6-gallon tank on a really big motorcycle, like a big adventure bike, but the ranges on most motorcycles tend to be pretty small. But you'll be happy to know that you got that 120 mile range. You go to the pump, you pay 10 bucks to fill up, and you're done. So kind of a cool thing there. The other point I want to make too in today's video of 10 things I wish I knew before I started riding is that even slow motorcycles are pretty damn fast by comparison to like most cars or other things. For example, a Ninja 400 is probably about as fast as like a WRX or a Golf GTI or something like that. They're pretty quick, and that's a little like Ninja 400. When you jump on something like this Panigale V2, they are rocket ship fast. And I know that's a big reason why a lot of people want to get into riding motorcycles, and trust me, I'm a dedicated and addicted track rat and racing boy, and I love my 675R, and you never get me to shut up about it, but that is a big reason why people want to start riding motorcycles. They go really fast and they're a ton of fun to ride, but even the slow ones are kind of fast, so be careful if you're buying a motorcycle. They can be a little bit of a handful if you're not ready for something like that. The other point on today's video is that wrenching is a whole lot less fun than riding. If you're a new rider, I want to just implore you, I'm asking you, I'm pleading with you, don't get a project motorcycle as your first bike. It is gonna be so much more fun for you to get something that you can just go in the garage, flip the key, turn it on, go out for a ride, come back, lube the chain, wash it every once in a while, and kiss it goodnight. You don't want a bike that doesn't run half the time, that you have to diagnose all these issues with. That is gonna be way more of a hassle than it's worth. So for your first bike, do not get a project bike and really understand if you want to start wrenching on a bike versus riding it. Me personally, you guys probably already know if you've seen my videos before that I like riding a whole lot more than wrenching. I'm very capable to doing basic maintenance tasks on a motorcycle. I can change the oil, the brakes, the tires, even if I needed to, chain adjustments, chain replacements, the super basic stuff I can do. If you're talking valves, you're talking extensive modifications, big changes to the bike, I'm taking it to a shop. That's just me personally. Maybe you want to learn how to wrench. I certainly didn't. The next point I want to make today is that you may not know that the community is super welcoming. The community for motorcycles is one of the most welcoming and engaging communities you could ever be a part of. Most people, if they notice you're a beginner rider, are going to be very kind to you. They're going to be very welcoming to you because you're new to the sport, you're new to the lifestyle, new to the hobby. Most people want you to succeed and want you to be a lifelong motorcyclist. Anyone who makes fun of you for your motorcycle or makes fun of you for being a new rider is probably not a good person and probably sucks ass at riding themselves. I'm just gonna put that out there. Most veteran and experienced motorcyclists and expert level riders at track days and just people who have been around the block a long time with two wheels would never make fun of someone for being new. To be honest, anytime I see someone who is new to the sport at the track or on the road or wherever it may be, I get super jazzed. I'm like, this is great. I love seeing a new person on two wheels. This is one of the most cool things that I can see, honestly. It makes me think like I'm doing a good job getting people into the fold on motorcycles. And the last item for today's list is just know that buying your first bike is not gonna be your first and final motorcycle. There's very few occasions where someone buys one bike and just keeps that one bike and never gets another bike. It is not that difficult to buy a motorcycle and then sell it and get another one. They're not super expensive by car standards or anything else. Like, I mean, this bike right over here is pretty expensive. It's $17,500 or something like that. But you can kind of hopscotch and trade between $5,000 to $8,000 motorcycles just all day long. So if you have $5 grand in your pocket right now saved up for a bike, if you buy a used bike, chances are you can sell that same bike a year later for like maybe 10% for depreciation. So you've spent $400 owning it and you save up another $400, boom, you got another $5,000, go get another motorcycle and see how that one rides for a while. This is really common. A lot of people ride bikes in this way, kind of hopscotching and skipping around different ones. I myself personally have probably owned, for me and not for Yammie Noob, the business and the giveaway bikes, I think I'm up to motorcycle number 8 at this point, I think, or 9, something like that. And if you count all the giveaway bikes I've bought and owned, I've completely lost count at this point. It must be up to like 40 or 50. But I'm a bit of a special case because I run a YouTube channel based around motorcycles. But for me personally, owned about 8 or 9 of them in my years of riding. So guys, that's my list for today of 10 things I wish I knew before I started riding motorcycles. What do you think? Is there anything that you wish you knew before you started riding? Leave me a comment down below. I try to respond to all my comments here on YouTube, but if you want a better chance of communicating with me, I'm always on our Discord server over on yammienoob.co. Sign up and you can get access to that. And be sure to smash that subscribe button. I'm trying to get 1 milli. Help me out here. Help me help you to make Turbo Hayabusa content. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later. You've made it to the end of a Yammie Noob video. Did you like what you saw? Do you want to see more of it? Check it out, right here, just like magic, waiting for you. Click this little square right here. More memes, more Yammie, more of my face. Isn't that great?